You recently had brought up a deal, I think shortly after I returned from Colombia, and I believe you even mentioned it to me while I was out on that trip, where a mutual client of ours had recently converted on a deal that had been underway for a couple of years now and was able to pull nearly six figures from that. Can you expand on that for us a little bit?
Yeah, 100%. So again, we do call ourselves that Swiss Army knife approach. So I don't care if you're in Los Angeles, Kansas City, Missouri, Miami, Florida, you're going to see deals come across your desk. And we've got the ability. What's important right now is working with people that have the ability to recognize a deal once they have figured out where to find them, first and foremost. I mean, you have to know where to find the deals in any market. That's what Pink provides, is that lead generation service, where we're locking arms with you. We're attacking your market. We're uncovering these deals. Then we're helping you take them down. So a deal that I really love, and we've done videos on it before, is called a subject to, a sub two. Basically, that means you are buying the house as an investor. And this is a no cash strategy, which we love and we talk about often, the executive lease purchase being another one of them. But with the sub two, they're buying the house subject to the underlying mortgage staying in place. So a seller likes that because effectively all they're looking for is debt service. So we found a seller that had a pretty good amount of equity in the house. They needed to sell it. They needed to get out from underneath the debt. All they cared about was not having that monthly payment. We found the deal, uncovered the deal, realized that that was really kind of the pressure or the pain point for that seller. And based on that, we knew that we could structure a deal that not only benefited them, but then benefited our affiliate seller there, or affiliate buyer for Pink in that market. So we put the house under contract. There were some closing costs right around $6,000. Now this was a couple years ago, and with a sub two, you are making that net positive cash flow each month on the property. But the big deal is that you're getting that equity over time without being on the hook for the mortgage. So fast forward the tape 2 years to today, and they are cashing out right now. And I believe, and I don't have the exact number, I believe it's just shy of $200,000 on a deal that cost them $6,000 to get into, 2 years ago. So with Pink, you do have those kind of instant gratification deals, the executive lease purchase, which is what we were really founded on. That really brought us to the dance. That's a no cash, no credit deal. I gave the illustration on how that works with the buyer and the seller. Obviously, Pink's got all the mechanics in the middle that we're working with our affiliates across the country on getting these deals across the finish line, which is really what we provide, is that ongoing coaching, training, and support to make sure that each one of these deals is done correctly, they're done legally, and they are brought across that finish line, which is where the rubber ultimately meets the road. So we were thrilled for our affiliate. They did have to wait 2 years, but I'll wait 2 years to get $200,000 back on a $6,000 investment. Would you?
I mean, it's phenomenal. And I guess I admittedly, a lot of it still kind of goes over my head in spite of having been around the industry for quite a while. And I'm assuming that there's going to be that situation for a number of people who are sitting here watching today. So, forgive those of us that don't necessarily follow everything you're saying. But a couple of things that I do want to highlight have stood out to me regarding the Pink model for this many years of discussing it here on the channel and having a bit of an understanding of what somebody could expect if they too became an affiliate. There are pros and cons to absolutely everything that involves being in business for yourself. If you want to work for yourself, it's going to take hard work. Everybody, I think, is becoming more and more transparent about that in the space of discussing entrepreneurship. I appreciate that, but I still think that some want to be entrepreneurs come in overly optimistic about what their contribution to that effort is going to need to would need to require. In your case, I think it's important to point out what type of workload is necessary to do to be effective in this space. I've heard it over and over and over again from your mouth directly, as well as people that we share as far as mutual clients, that you got to be prepared to invest anywhere between 15 hours and up to do well with this business. But if you did, the very realistic possibility of generating six figures in revenues annually on average exists, and even as high as several $100,000. That's part-time work for several $100,000 potential. I definitely would suggest that all day long to people who are trying to level their way up through some form of a side hustle. I prefer calling it a side empire, because I'm not sure why you would treat your day job where you're making $75,000 or even $100,000 or even $150,000 as seriously as putting in 40, 50, 60 hours a week, along with potentially a commute as well as potentially expectations from your employer that are very restrictive, and you're working to make someone else wealthy versus putting in half of that amount of time to make the same or more money, being able to work from home and, essentially create your own lifestyle and your own schedule. That to me is, I don't know why we would call that a side hustle. I would rather treat that as if it's the more important of the two personally, until you're able to transition away from the day job, so to speak. With that, I think that it's important to mention that it's not inexpensive to work with Pink. Pink does charge an affiliate fee. They've got 2 different membership options from what I remember. So I want to make sure I'm advocating here for my audience that this is something that they would need to expect, but you do have financing options. You've got ways for people to get in with little and even in some cases no money out of their own pocket. We've had some of our mutual clients use debt weapons in the past to get involved, even debt weapons like a home equity line of credit. I recently used a home equity line of credit to start my own side empire, and that is, in the first year, it already locked down $165,000 in revenue. This year, we're already on pace to generate over $300,000 in revenue. So this is the exact same strategy that I took with no money out of my pocket because I relied on that specific debt weapon tool. Something to consider if you're looking at something with Pink as well. I also love that you guys are there to hold everybody's hand. I think far too often you get these sort of over promises and under deliveries of businesses in a box where you're just sort of there fumbling through it on your own. You may as well just go out and try and start something by yourself. The idea of buying into this sort of franchise-esque model is that it's a blueprint that's pre-existing waiting for you. And I love that you guys really take people by the hand. You're there working with them one-on-one. We've got countless testimonials. They come in all the time. We just don't always publish them on the channel here, but we've got a lot of videos you can check out in the description of people that are doing extraordinarily well that really had no experience. In some cases, maybe a little bit, but a lot of folks just come in completely green, and you're able to take them step by step, A to Z, in order to get them to a closing table like the one you just discussed. Not everybody's going to make $200,000. Obviously, results do vary, but it's because of your hand holding that got to the closing table. I was definitely a receptive ear to that as it unfolded because we had a mutual client involved. And there were times where he was frustrated and he felt like he wasn't going to end up getting there. And lo and behold, here we are 2 years later with, a couple $100,000 there. And I guess the last thing that sort of stands out to me, good, bad, or ugly, is the win-win-win factor of this. Obviously, you guys as a company need to be getting paid. You put in a ton of effort along with the legalities of it, along with the scripting of it, along with the support, along with the lead gen. All of that is extremely expensive to provide, but you're then providing this amazing blueprint that people can realistically earn significant amounts of money for, working part-time hours from home with little or no money out of pocket. And then in addition to that, the sellers that you're helping are going to win. The people that are on the other end of the transaction, the people that you just sold that house for, are also going to be extremely excited about the outcome. So I've always loved that type of a business model or transaction framework, is where everybody is coming out on top. So I think it all boils down to ROI. If you're not going to do the work, you shouldn't be signing up. This is definitely not a model that is for most people. For those of you that are still curious, definitely email pink@vipfinancialeducation.com. You can throw your name, first and last, as well as contact phone number in the body of that email. Put conversation in the subject line so that Michael and his team knows that they can reach out. One final thing that I do want to praise you guys about, because I do scrutinize this, and I am a skeptic. As much as I love you and we have a great friendship and we work together on many different capacities, this is not something where I'm going to favor you before the audience. The audience at this point knows that this is an advocated channel for them and their well-being. And I've always loved that you don't hard sell people. This is not something where you're strong arming and people feel like they've been convinced to do something they shouldn't be doing. If you notice that somebody is not a great personality fit for your model, I've seen you turn away people left, right, and center, because this is it's of no benefit to you if they don't succeed also. This upfront cost of participation is a loss leader for Pink Houses, and it's really more of the transactional success where everybody ends up winning, where it's going to end up benefiting them. So Michael, I just want to kind of sing your praises about that as well, that as far as the sales process is concerned, you guys are bar none, just like VIP is, doing it the right way. And I really do appreciate you for that. And on our audience's behalf, I do say thank you for that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I really do. At this point in my career, and you said something that really hits home for me and our team at Pink is that win-win-win. That's important. Money is not my driver anymore. What my personal and professional driver is to create scenarios and build businesses that A, solve a problem, right? And then B, everyone involved in it can kind of get their pound of flesh, if you will, which is just so rare, especially in real estate investing. It's such a dog-eat-dog world where what we're doing is creating businesses that can accomplish a lot of goals and do a lot of good things for folks. But you can do business the right way. You can look at yourself in the mirror. You can feel proud of what you're doing. Talk to your friends and family about it. There's nothing to be ashamed of. And that's that's how I like to start every day, knowing that yesterday I did right by everyone I talked to, right? So with this, we present an opportunity, and it's a great one. And there is a cost up front with it, but the deals are very lucrative. On average, our affiliates make about $15,000 per transaction. Obviously, we gave an illustration of an anomaly. Not everyone, and we certainly are not going to tell people that you're going to make $200,000 on a deal. But those deals do exist, right? So it's transactional. They're going to add up over time. Nothing wrong with singles and doubles. But to get your initial investment back, it can happen very quickly if you go do the work. This is not a passive investment strategy. We have touched on, passive strategies like Lavish Keys here on the channel recently. This is not that. This is for folks that want to either have it as a side hustle to supplement income to their W-2, ultimately transition out into this full time, or just keep it bolted on and they've got that extra amount of cash that they can make in that 15 to 20 hours a week. But just know that you're going to have to, get out of bed and do the work every day and put the time in. But we're giving you a blueprint. We're holding your hand. We're coaching you. You've got a dedicated day-to-day coach. We've got ongoing training and support. You're never going to wonder what you're supposed to be doing. And that's why people love this model. They're walking right into a very successful business in a box. And they are that entrepreneur. They do own their own business, but they are in business for themselves, but not by themselves because of that tremendous corporate support they get.
Yeah, and I guess I just can't stress enough, whether you're just going in to buy something for personal use right now, which might make sense still if it's completely affordable, or you're looking at still trying to find a way to carve out a profit margin as an investor right now. The importance of having the right team around you is everything when navigating a market, especially when the conditions are so different than they previously were. But ultimately, again, I think it just really boils down to cash flow, making sure that you're looking for ways of really increasing your earnings potential while simultaneously constantly auditing the liability side of that balance sheet and making sure that you don't have any unnecessary leaks, taking that a step further and making sure that you're manipulating the way that your debts are being serviced, taking it a step further and then making sure that, of course, you're accelerating the way that your debts are being accelerated. You can pay those off in a fraction of the time, especially the non-mortgage related high interest type of consumer debts. And finally, of course, then applying any additional investing liquidity that you may have into opportunities that can have huge payoffs. Like I said, I've been successfully blessed enough to do that in a variety of different industries that have really allowed me to live whatever lifestyle I want, including 6 months of full-time RVing last year, including really 3 out of the last 4 months being able to take time away with my family during a tragic loss, and recently just being able to go to Colombia and do some networking and some business down there during a wedding event that I was invited to. So it's been truly a lifesaver for me, and I can't stress enough to people who are listening that you have that same opportunity in front of you. I'm no different than you. Michael's no different than you. We had to start somewhere. When we started, we were scared. When we started, we were overworked. And over time, with consistency, that effort began to pay off. And we were ultimately able to really streamline a lot of our processes and systems, and in order to really automate the way that money comes to us, to where price tags, whether we're being generous or whether we're being selfish, are no longer much of a factor at all. So that's really, I think the net outcome here is freedom of choice, how you're going to spend your time, how you choose to spend your money. And so you can live life on your terms, folks. These are cliche sayings for a reason. One last time on that email address, pink@vipfinancialeducation.com is where you'll reach out, put your first name, last name, and make sure you put your contact phone number in there. Be sure to check out the videos in the description. Those are going to answer a lot of your questions regarding what Michael was talking about here related to that business model. If you're still looking for a side hustle or side empire where you can really dominate spending that 15, 20 plus hours each week on something that's your own, where you can make hundreds of thousands, and there is a plethora, a collection of different ways of making money in there inside real estate during the toughest times, and really where we see things heading now, where things are going to continue to get a little bit trickier and more volatile over the next 6 to 24 months. Little Pink Houses of America is really going to be an option you're going to want to take a strong look at. With that in mind, hey, Michael, I do appreciate all your insight once again on this. Always an interesting topic. We'll be sure to come back and hit you guys with updates as they're happening, because I'm sure there will be plenty just through this year alone, much less in the coming years. So stay tuned to the channel. Make sure you're a subscriber if you're not one already. And also be sure to drop a thumbs up for us, please, if you don't mind. It helps us so much with the algorithm. And until we see you on the next one, Michael, again, thank you so much. And guys, make it a great day and keep on cash flowing. See you soon.